Here we go with day 2 of Geometry Basics. We are going to start off with a review of perimeter. Perimeter is the outside distance all the way around a shape. Yesterday we talked about squares and rectangles and parallelograms. Their perimeter formula is just add all the sides. There's lots of different ways to do it. You guys practiced that a lot yesterday. Also, I want to review the area formula, which is base times height for these three shapes. Base is on the bottom, height is how tall it is. Even on a parallelogram, it's how tall it is, okay? So base times height on all three of these shapes. Now, what I want you to think about is on these shapes, what happens when you cut them in half? If you split it in half, what shape do you get? If you split that diagonally, you get a triangle, right? How do you cut something in half mathematically, though? If we were going to split this in half, splitting it this way, what would we do mathematically? Any ideas? So if we're thinking about mathematically cutting something in half, we could do it two ways. One way is to multiply by 1/2, or we could divide it by 2. Those are the two different ways that we are going to talk about getting something to be cut in half, okay? So what that means for our formula for this rectangle was base times height, but now we're going to be splitting that in half. So it's going to be something to do with either multiplying by 1/2 or dividing by 2. And what it ends up looking like is this: base times height divided by 2, or 1/2 times base times height. So you could do it either way, and this is the formula for finding the area of a triangle. Okay, so let's give this a shot. If we have the area, or if we're finding the area of this triangle here, our base is 11, our height is 11, and look at this, this is another distractor like we had yesterday. So base is 11, height is 11, and we're going to try these two formulas, base times height divided by 2, and I want you to try 1/2 base times height. So let's focus on just the first one first, okay? If we do it right, we end up with 11 times 11 divided by 2. And on this, it's going to end up with something weird, or a decimal, rather. So it would be 11 times 11 is like 121. And when we divide that by 2, that gives us 60.5. Now, I want us to think about the next triangle, and I want you to try it on your own. Think about this. This is your base of 10, and your height is 20 here. Remember, it's base times height. So it would be, and you're doing half of the base times the height. So half of 10 times 20. You guys give that a shot. Yes, high five. If you got 100 as your answer, then you got it right. 100 square inches, okay? Because it's still area. You had to do half of 10, which is 5, and then multiply that by 20, which is 100. So good job to everybody who was able to get that correct answer. So if we're going to do perimeter of a triangle, it's very similar to perimeter of a rectangle or a square or a parallelogram. We're just adding all the sides. All three sides need to be added together. So really, on the first triangle, 11 plus 11 plus 18, or we could do 15, 15, and 10. We just add them together, okay? One thing I want you to remember is that the 20 on this triangle is not an outside edge. It is not one of the sides. 20 is the height. It is not part of the perimeter. So whenever you're doing your addition, you do not include that 20 as part of your perimeter. If you said 40 inches for both of the triangles, you got it right. Great job, people. So now what I want to do is you try these two triangles. We have a triangle with a base and a height here of 18 and 11, a triangle whose base is 5 and height is 12, a triangle whose base is 4 and height is 6. Remember, don't get messed up because the height is not part of the perimeter, and these blue numbers are not part of the height as well. So when you're doing your math, focus on that. Let's focus on this first triangle. Base is 18, height is 11. I need you to find the area and the perimeter. Okay, I'm going to help you out here. Here is the formula. Write it down. Okay, here is your formula. Area, we have to do our base of 18, height of 11, and then we can divide that by 2 to find the area of just the triangle. If we didn't divide by 2, we'd be finding an area of a whole rectangle, and that's not what we want. We want just the triangle. Okay, and then perimeter of this triangle is all 3 sides added together. Okay, all right, your turn. Try to find the 2 answers for the first triangle. If you got the area is 99 square inches, good job, you got it right. And if your perimeter was 54 inches, again, you got it right, good job. Now, it is your job to find the area and perimeter of these last 2 triangles. These are a little more difficult because they have a different height listed off to the side in red, or in the middle here in red, that is not included in the perimeter. Okay, so don't get too confused. Base times height divided by 2 is your area formula. Base times height divided by 2 is area. And perimeter, you're adding all 3 sides. The sides are in blue. Okay, you can do it. I believe in you. Ready, set, go. All right, the answers are listed here. Area was 30, perimeter was 21 of the middle triangle, and the area was 12 square inches and 23 inches for your perimeter of the second triangle, or the third triangle rather. So great job if you got all of those answers. Fantastic work. What I want you to do right now is go back to your notes and make sure that the formula is written down with a picture next to it. Triangle, and the area formula is base times height divided by 2, or if you'd rather have the 1/2 times base times height, you can do that. But make sure it is written down in your notes. While your notes are open, let's go ahead and take a minute and make sure we have everything from yesterday and today in there. You need to have the areas listed, the area formulas for a square, rectangle, and parallelogram, and what we just went over was the triangle. Make sure all 4 of these shapes have their area formula listed and their perimeter formula listed as well, which is really just adding all sides every time. That's how you find perimeter. So make sure that's in there because we are moving on to a new shape. Here's your new shape. Do you know what this is? If you said trapezoid, you got it right. Good job. We should know this. We went over it on Monday, but trapezoid is what this shape is called. Now, we're going to start off with perimeter. Any ideas of how to find the perimeter of this shape? Yes, you got it. Add all the sides. So let's go ahead and try it with this. I want you to try it. Add all the sides to find the perimeter of this trapezoid. All right, if you added up the green numbers, that is how you found the perimeter and got 55 inches as your answer. 8 inches was part of the height. It's not your answer. It's not part of your perimeter. So good job if you were able to get 55 as your answer. Okay, so that is how you find perimeter of a trapezoid. The hard part now is finding the area. I know we talked about it on Monday, but it's really difficult to find the area for 6th graders. So what I want to focus on are 3 pieces of information. Those 3 pieces of information are the 2 bases, so the bottom base and the top base, and the height. Those are the 3 key pieces of information that you need in order to find the area of a trapezoid, okay? So the bases are the 2 parallel lines. The diagonal lines are not bases. If they are not the parallels, they are not the bases. Sometimes the parallels might be on the side, and that's okay, but they're not diagonal. They're not going to run into each other. They're parallel lines, the 2 lines that are never going to meet. If we extend them out and out, they're never going to meet. Those are your 2 bases on a trapezoid, okay? Okay, so what's going on in this video is this person has labeled their trapezoid A and B for the bases and labeled its height as H here, okay? Now, what this person is going to do is they're going to take the height, okay, let's see, I'm going to move this faster. They're going to take the height and they're going to cut it in half right there, okay? They cut the height directly in half, so 1/2 times the height, all right? Now, what they're going to do is they're going to put a pivot point there in the middle, and they're just going to put the 2 bases together. Check this out. So the height got cut in half. Now the two bases are coming together. If he just does it there. Okay, so now he's moving the bases to where now A base and B base, so base 1 and base 2, as we have learned, come together to form one long base, okay? So half of the height, and then the bases get put together, okay? So let's see that one more time. He cuts the height in half and puts the bases together, okay? Just like that. That's what we want to remember. Both bases are coming together, and we have half of the height, okay? So remember that as we get to the formula. So that formula we just did, we just saw the pink trapezoid that got the height cut in half and our bases put together. That is how this top formula came to be. Okay, 1/2 times the height, 1/2 times the height, multiplying by the base 1 plus the base 2. So in the video, it was A base and B base. We like to call it base 1 and base 2. The height was cut in half, so 1/2 height, and then base 1 and base 2 got added together. Okay, here's another way to think about how this formula came to be. So on this video, the guy has base 1 and base 2 labeled and his height labeled. And instead of splitting the height in half, this is what he's doing. He's splitting this, cutting this there, flipping it over to now all of base 1 and base 2 are connected there. Okay, so base 1 and base 2 are connected there, and it forms a triangle. And we should be familiar with how to find the area of a triangle, right? So he now has the bases together and then has a triangle, right? So we need to put that together somehow to think about how to use the area of a triangle to find the area of the trapezoid. Now, this is how the formula ends up coming to be. On that red trapezoid, we had the height all together, and we multiplied it by the bases that were put together. So that is how we formed a triangle. So we have to do the height times the bases together, and then divide it by 2 because it's a triangle, okay? So those are the two ways, the two different formulas to find the area of a trapezoid. I know that they were not easy formulas to follow, and we will practice it. So let's just go ahead and jump right in. Let's practice, okay? So I like the 1/2 height times base 1 plus base 2. Okay, we know base 1 and base 2 are here, and we know that we need to multiply it by the height and half. So it ends up looking like this. 1/2 times 8, so half of 8, times 20 plus 15, okay? So let's take that one step at a time. If I do this, I'm gonna have 20 plus 15 is how we got 35. Then we're gonna have 1/2 times 8 times 35. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, it's easier to do half of 8 than it is to do 8 times 35. So half of 8 is 4. So now I have 4 times 35. I don't know if I know that one either, but I could use scratch paper to figure it out. And once I figured it out, I would put my final answer as 140 square inches, because it is area still, doing square inches. Okay, now let's see if you guys can do this. Pause right here if you need more time to look at what I just did. Your turn. Trapezoid, base 1, base 2, height is 5. You can do this. Ready, set, go. All right, so the way it worked was we had to plug in our stuff. So height was 5, our bases were 11 and 17, okay? Once you did that, you had to fill in or figure out 11 plus 17 is 28. Half of 5 was 2.5. I know this is difficult math. Decimals are not our friends sometimes, but if we were able to figure this out, 2.5 times 28 was 70 square inches. So if you got that, fantastic job. Give yourself a high five. Okay, now our next question is going to be a little bit more difficult because I'm not giving you any clues. Okay? If we were trying to solve this, could you solve it? Can you solve this? The answer is no, you can't solve it because I have not given you the height. Okay, we're missing that. So really, we need to figure out our bases, our two bases.